This number at the top right is 7799. 7799, that's our office number. Where it says advanced training, we've got a series of advanced training. There are certain things that I can't teach you during training just because it's just not enough time. But then we have an advanced training series for this upcoming week. There are 3 advanced trainings that we have. The first one, where it says AT1, Advanced Training 1, that's on Monday from 11:30 to 3:30. Monday, 11:30 to 3:30. Now, if you have another job and you have a conflict with this, no big deal. Just let us know tomorrow. We'll have a makeup time. So if you have another job or summer classes and this time is a conflict, we'll work it out for you. So don't freak out. So it's Monday from 11:30 to 3:30. That's some advanced sales skills. Also, we do paycheck information, things like that, all on Monday. Advanced Training 2 is only an hour long. It's on Wednesday from 9 to 10 a.m. 9 to 10 a.m. This is how we teach you how to call your referrals. So all the referrals that you get for your first 4, 5, 6 days, we teach you how to get in touch with those referrals and how to set them up. That's from 9 to 10 a.m. on Wednesday. Bless you. And then Advanced Training 3, AT3, is on Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. as well. It's only an hour. 9 to 10 a.m. next Saturday. That's it. What's that? 9 to 10 a.m. Yep, just an hour in the morning. And again, if you had a conflict with any of these times, if you have like a family trip or school or things like that, we can work it out. We'll have make-up times for those. So if you have any conflicts, don't freak out. Weekly team meeting is on Wednesday. It's Wednesdays from 10 to 12:30. Wednesdays from 10 to 12:30. However, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this today and tomorrow. You guys have a huge opportunity because on Wednesday we have our first big summer conference, and it's a full-day conference. We rented out DU, one of the auditoriums at DU, and we have a conference where all of our Cutco sales professionals, they teach workshops the whole day on upper-level sales skills, recommendation skills, phoning skills. We also have an international guest speaker coming in and teaching personal and professional development. It's kind of like a Tony Robbins conference, and it's from 10 to 5 on Wednesday. We also give you free Cutco for going. It's a really cool event. So just keep that in mind. We'll talk a little bit more about it today. It's not mandatory, but everybody else on our team is going, and most of you will go too. But it's a really cool event. It's on Wednesday. It's pretty much an all-day event. But it's like a Tony Robbins event, but Cutco style. So it's a great resume builder too. But I'll give you more details later.
So are those weekly team meetings mandatory?
10 to 12:30. If you have a conflict with one of them, not a big deal. Like if you have sports or something like that, you want to make as many of them as you can because the more you learn, the more you earn. We also do all of our recognition. You get your promotions, prizes, things like that at the meetings. So they're a blast and you learn a ton of skills. But if you have to miss one for something, if you're out of town or if you have a conflict, then not a huge deal. But you want to try to make as many of them as you can. Cool. All right, so those are the dates. All right, if you open up to the front cover, the inside left front cover, it says tips for your demo. Now we're going to do some round robin reading here. So Courtney, you're going to start us off with the first demo where it says be courteous.
To be courteous. Don't walk on the lawn, shoes off, knock, don't ring.
Perfect. Don't walk on the lawn. Don't be that guy. Offer to take your shoes off, and don't wake up crying babies. So knock, don't ring. Next one, Fisher.
Best place for demos is in the kitchen, cooking environment, junk knives handy, no distractions.
Always in the kitchen. I never even do it in the dining room because that's a little bit awkward in the dining room. It's like stuffy in there. Always at the kitchen table no matter what. Never at their office, never at a Starbucks, always at the kitchen table. Next one, Dan.
Best to show the husband and wife together if possible.
Always husband and wife. That's why we start on a Friday, so your first appointments are going to be tomorrow right after training. We start on a weekend. That way all of your appointments this weekend can be husband and wife together. We never show dudes by themselves, ever. You're not allowed to, okay? You're not allowed to show a guy by themselves unless it's like mom and dad are split. Of course you're going to show dad. You're not going to be like, well, that was a mistake you made 5 years ago and I can't show you Cutco, right? So if mom and dad are split, you're going to show mom and dad, but you're never going to search out like your friend's single dad. Like that doesn't make sense because my dad cooks more than my mom, but my mom wears the pants and makes the decision. Anybody have a similar family like me? Like dad cooks more, but mom calls the shots. So if dad cooks more, make sure that you find a time where you show husband and wife together. It's okay to show Mrs. Jones by herself. I made a career off of Housewives. I used to do 3 Housewives a day. Like that was like my standard was 3 back-to-back Housewife appointments. But if I knew the husband cooked more, I always showed them together. But this weekend, you want to show all husbands, wives together, all couples, it's almost impossible to have a no sale when you show husband and wife together, right? It would be really weird if like you have both of them there and they don't find at least something that they like. Would you agree on that? So we only show husband and wife together for this weekend. Like grandma's fine. Like if grandpa's not around anymore, but grandma is, of course you're showing grandma. She's gonna buy everything because it's you, and she spoils the heck out of you. So there are some exceptions, but for the most part, husband and wife together always. All right, next one, Sam.
Pennies made after 1983 are softer and easier to cut.
Yep, shiny pennies. Alston?
Customers should do all food cutting and cut both and leather. You can cut pennies.
Yep, the only thing you cut is the penny, everything else is cut by them. Now if you want, you can kind of like break the seal, like you can cut a piece of the tomato and be like, here, you try it. So, but the more they cut, the better. So you want to get them involved as much as possible. Kaylee, you don't have to read the poll, it's just that first, it's okay.
It's okay to bring food to the demo as well as asking your customers for food.
Yeah, so ask your customers for food. I always brought a couple things and I said, here's what I brought, what else can we cut up? And I just played the poor starving college student card and they just loaded up with food. And we used to cut like weird things too. But anyway, the more you cut, the better. Next one, Joe.
Stay in control of your blue book. Flip the pages for your customer and keep 2 hands on your blue book when you're not handling products.
Yeah, who's got that uncle that's going to be a big pain in your butt that you know is going to start like flipping pages and they're going to be like, what's that? What's that? How much is this? Does anybody have that one family member that's going to be a pain in your butt? So with my presentations, I always just keep my hand on the book. The book is going to be facing them. Your manual is going to be facing you, but I just keep my hand on it like this and then I flip the pages for them. That way I'm in control. That way they're not like grabbing at it and ruining my demo. Okay? Next one, Shane.
Keep your sample kit closed and pull it out items as demo progresses.
Yeah, because otherwise, like, your Mr. Jones is going to get really distracted with a lot of shiny things on the table at the same time. So just pull out one knife at a time as you go. Okay, Labby.
Always use your cutting board and clean up in the sink before you leave.
Perfect. Always, that's when they write down referrals. So they're writing down referrals while you're cleaning up. So that way you clean up while they're writing them down. Now the one right before that, Chase.
If customer asks for prices during your demo, tell them it's a surprise and you'll get it.
All right, this is big. Never, ever, ever tell the prices on the phone and never tell the prices during the demo until you get to the end. We talked about value, right? Before you start your presentation, especially on the phone, it's like, how much is a set? And you're like, you might not think it's a big deal, but the value is here, or the price is here, it's never gonna change. Before you do your demo though, where's the value? Below, because you haven't told them anything about it. At the end of your presentation, where's the value? Yeah, super high. So if you told them the price before the demo or in the middle of the demo or on the phone, they're going to say that's way too what? Expensive, right? If you tell them the price at the end, they're going to say, wow, that's really what? Cheap, right? It's all about perspective. So you never tell them the price at the end. So if they ask you, I always just make a joke out of it and I'm like, shh, Mrs. Jones, you're going to ruin it. Right? Or you could do like Napoleon Dynamite. You'd be like, gosh, Mom, come on. Right? So don't ever tell the price until the very end. All right. If your customer already owns Cutco, you're going to do a full presentation and just do the rope cutting test and leather cutting test against their Cutco. And if yours cuts better than theirs, it's a sign that they should send theirs back to get sharpened up. Okay, so always do a full presentation. Customers forget a lot of the little things like the forever guarantee. They forget about so many things. So it's a good reminder of all the keys for Cutco. All right, page 1 is the social etiquette page. This is how we start the presentation. We build rapport. Everyone say the word rapport. Rapport. Rapport means getting to know the customer. We want to build rapport for at least how many minutes? 10 minutes. The more you build rapport, the more you get to know them, the more you're going to sell because you're building a relationship. Everybody wants to buy Cutco, but the more they like you, the more comfortable they are with you, the more comfortable they're going to be making a purchase. Have you ever bought something from a salesperson that you really liked, that was like super personable, really helped you out a lot, and even though you were going to buy it anyway, didn't it make you feel even better buying that product? Or like a waiter or waitress that was like super cool, like you feel even better, ordering from that person because, they make you feel better and you have that relationship built. So building rapport is crucial. This weekend, you're showing people that you know really well. I still want you to build a ton of rapport with those people. So Sam is still going to be like, hey, Mom, my name is Sam. I'm your son. It's great to meet you. So still do it as practice because it's good practice for when you start showing people that you don't know as well. All right, so the first thing you do, always, this is rule of life and rule of sales, is you find something to what? Find something to what? Compliment. Why do you find something to compliment? Flattery, right? You flatter them and you make them feel good. you want to compliment something expensive in their house. Expensive, right? So think about like the picture frames and the vases, or their kitchen, or their granite countertops, or their furniture. Like find the expensive things because you want to get them thinking about high quality products. Guys, don't be like, hey, Mrs. Jones, your daughter, nice. Like don't do that. Like compliment something in their home and find the expensive things in their home to compliment. The 6 Ps, these are conversation starters. So if you're a little bit awkward, you're like, I don't know what to talk about. These are the 6 Ps. So the first one is pets. Can I give you a cool marketing skill too? Okay, I'm going to tell you a bunch of cool marketing things. You can say anything with a smile on your face. Mrs. Jones, that is the ugliest dog I've ever seen in my life. And she's going to be like, yeah, well, he's got character. Okay, so you can say anything with a smile on your face. But pets is a good one. Plants is a really good one too. So if like they're gardening, if they do a lot of gardening work, you can compliment their gardening and ask them, about plants and gardening. Photos, so you can just look at photos around the house, around their kitchen. You can ask, who's that? Was that on a vacation? Just use photos as conversation starters. Plaques or accomplishments like college degrees, things like that. Their profession, Mrs. Jones, what do you do? What does your husband do? And then people. This is a big one. If you ask them about their kids, all you have to do is smile and nod your head for the next 10 minutes, and you're golden, because they're going to go off about how great their kids are. So you say, hey, tell me about your kids. And you just go like this for the next 10 minutes. You don't have to do any other work. Okay, so ask about their kids a lot. All right, then you say, thank you so much for taking the time to see my what? My what? It really means what? Okay, can I teach you another marketing skill? If you read and you talk and you smile at the same time, you sound like a happier person. So let's try that one again. Thank you so what? I need all 25 voices. Thank you so what? For taking the time to what? It really means what? Doesn't that just feel better? Like you just immediately notice the difference in the room. So smile when you talk. All right, personal story. Mrs. Jones, let me tell you a little bit about who? Me. About who? Me. All right, why is it important to tell about you? Yeah, it sells yourself, gets to know you, they get to know you, and you build that relationship. So I want you to jot down, write a couple bullets. You don't have to do full sentences. Just write down a couple bullets of the important things that they should know about you. If you're in school, where do you go to school? If you have a major, what your major is. Now, if you're not in school, or if you're not sure, just you can talk about where you're thinking about in the future. Okay, if you play sports, definitely talk about that. If you've got any hobbies or interests, it might be cool to talk about some hobbies. If you have like a weird thing about you, just don't gross them out. If you're like double jointed, or you can like flip your eyelids inside out, like weird stuff like that. I don't know if I would do that, but you can anything interesting about you. If you have something interesting about your family, and then your dream job, that's a really big thing to tie your customers into. You really want to just inspire them. The more they get to know you, the more inspired they are with you, the more excited they're going to be to help you out. They're not going to buy just because it's you, right? Cutco is too, it's not like Girl Scout cookies or magazines. They're not going to buy just because it's you, but because they're really motivated by you, they're going to feel even better about that purchase. Does everyone have a couple things written down? A couple bullets? All right, then you're going to tie them into your goals. Mrs. Who? Mrs. Jones. Do you mind if I share some of my goals with who? You. With who? You? Yeah, and they're going to say what? Of course I don't mind. Hey, Jasmine, Krista, don't go over here. Come over here.
All right.
Guys, this is Krista, and Krista just started on Friday. She's in the middle of her fast start. And what's your favorite thing about the job?
Super flexible, super fun to be there with housewives, like talking, cutting up some food. Just a really good time, like overall, I'd say. Nervous right now, actually. So.
And after you started your presentations, did the nerves kind of go away?
Yeah, oh yeah. Especially if you make them super fun, like you're cracking jokes with Mrs. Jones, like it's super awesome, super fun. You can make it like as fun as you guys want. So.
And do you make up your own thing or just follow the manual?
I follow the manual, like word for word, you guys. Like do not venture off of that thing. Like
have you ever ventured off or like tried to do your own thing like accidentally or
like often, but don't do it just because I'm trying to do it every time. It's never been successful. So like,
please follow the manual. What do you cut in your presentations?
Pineapple, tomato, carrot, apple. I did potato this morning for the family night.
Nice.
For Dust School.
Cool. And does everyone tell you they're gonna buy?
No, like no one doesn't go buy.
What do
Like,
you do?
all buy, all of them.
Yeah. How many demos did you do your first weekend?
My first weekend, I think I did 12.
If you could go back and start over again, what would you do different?
Make more calls. That 5 before and 5 after, you guys, like that's really, really important. Really important. I didn't do that. Kind of could have done better.
So now you can make up for it. Yeah.
Yes.
And your first on Thursday night after training, how many hours of phone calls did you make on Thursday night?
Probably about 2 to 3, you guys. Like that's seriously so important. I mean, you can play as much. I'm a newer rep also, so that's so important. Just do it.
Just make a lot of calls. It's worth it.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, so
And advice on how to get the most out of training?
listen to Drew 100%. His word is gold. Word God, I would say. So yes.
I train them well.
First meeting, so yeah.
Let's give Krista one clap. 1, 2, 3. Nice. Good work. This is Jasmine. Jasmine just started on, when did you start?
About a week ago.
A week ago. And your first weekend, do you remember how much you sold your first weekend?
I sold 6,000.
6,000.
Weekend.
And doesn't she made $1,000 in income in her first weekend. She looks like a super overwhelming salesperson, right? Like really over the top, high pressure, pushy. She was the quietest person in training. She didn't speak to me for 2 days of training. She just nodded every once in a while, just like that. And she sold 6,000. What you showed your best customers? Who were some of the people you showed your first weekend?
I showed my parents, my boyfriend's parents, and my aunt and uncle, and my brother and his wife.
Right. So you focused on your best 5. And your best 5, did they tell you they were going to buy?
No.
What did they say?
They said, we're going to listen to you because we're going to be supportive, but we don't want anything. We're not going to buy anything.
And you sold $6,000 for that. Yeah. Any advice on how to get the most out of that first weekend?
Take a lot of notes because, like she said, he's great and he knows exactly what he's doing. Just stick to the manual and take good notes.
Awesome. And what do you cut in your presentation?
I cut pineapple, carrots, apples, tomato, banana, and bread.
Awesome. It's fun though. You eat a lot during this job, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Jasmine, round of applause. Thank you. Scotty, can I show you? This is Scott Lilly. Scott's one of our assistant managers. Goes to graduated from Highlands Ranch High School. Goes to University of Wyoming now. And
Go Pokes.
yep, exactly. And your first weekend, do you remember how many appointments you did last year?
Right around 10.
10 appointments.
Yeah.
If you could go back and do it over again, what would you do different?
I would have done like 30.
Yeah. Now, Scott sold about, what, $3,500, $4,000 a year
Yeah.
fast start? His first 10 days, made $500-$600 in income. Didn't blow it out of the water with, breaking records, but what's great about Scott is he was very consistent. He sold at least $3,000 every week for the whole summer. He never had a week less than $3,000. So he was making comma paychecks pretty much the whole time, especially once he got up to 30%. So he was just very consistent. He did 3 demos a day, every single day, the entire summer. He actually started, he didn't start until July, like middle of July.
Yeah.
So he only worked for a month. He sold $20,000 in a month. He made $5,000 in 1 month, and that was like, just at the end of the summer. So he started, 3 weeks from now. Any advice on how to get the most out of their fast start?
I mean, I don't want to sound repetitive, or, as far as fast start, book as many demos as you can because the practice is the most important part. It's really going to build your confidence for the rest of the summer.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing about the job?
As far as being a rep, the flexibility, being able to make your own schedule is awesome. It's the greatest summer job you could ever have.
Yeah. And let's see, and then in training, what's the most important thing in training?
I still visit my training notes before every demo. It's the best stuff on earth as far as learning how to do this job effectively. So I would take as many notes as I can.
Let's give Scott a round of applause. Thank you, Scotty. Sean Kennedy,
Yes, sir.
can I intro you?
Absolutely.
All right, come close, stand on the mat. Actually, drag the mat over here a little bit.
Drag them out of there.
Yeah. So that's the intro mat.
Yeah.
All right, this is Sean Kennedy. Sean has the record this summer of highest sales for the first weekend, $8,400 in sales in his first 3.5 days. Made over $1,600 in income in your first 4 days. What's your favorite thing about the job?
The flexibility, and it's just super fun. And everyone who works here is just a lot of fun to work with.
What's the biggest thing you've learned so far?
Probably time management and dedication. Just if you're dedicated and phone all the time, in a demo or phoning for a demo, definitely book as many demos as you can. And just have fun with it.
How many did you book your first weekend?
I think I had 12 my first 15.
And so you booked like 18 or 19, a couple of them rescheduled,
Yeah,
you ended up
yeah.
doing 15. How many sales did you have?
15.
I think so, 100% closing, and you sold 8,400. In his fast start, he sold well over $10,000 in his first 10 days. So he made $2,000 in income in 10 days. Anybody interested in $2,000 in 10 days? I mean, that's not even fair. But he worked really hard because now he's at 30%. So he's been making comma paychecks every week because now he can work half as much but make twice as much because he worked hard to get to that level. How many demos do you say you do per day on average?
On average, well, are we in push? In push,
yeah.
In
We're in
push
contest.
4 or 5. Yeah, for fast start, definitely we try and push like 4 or 5 a day. Just be dedicated, do as many demos as you possibly can, and just have a blast.
Cool. And what do you cut in your presentations?
Pineapples, an apple, a carrot, and a tomato.
And do you make up your own thing or just follow the script?
100% the script.
Word for word? Word for word, yeah. And you're the first night after training, how many hours of phone calls did you make?
For Thursday night after 2 hours, 2.5. A lot.
Made a lot of phone calls.
Yeah.
Was it worth it?
100%.
It wasn't fun, but it was worth it.
Definitely not fun, but well worth it.
Yeah. Awesome. Give Sean a big round of applause. Thanks, Sean. Hey, what do you have now?
I just hit my 20K, so.
Just hit $20,000 in sales. How long ago did you start?
Month.
Month. So less than a month, he's made $5,000. And now he's at 35%. That doesn't suck. His life is good. Remember I told you before, like the effort you put in your fast start could set you up for financial freedom forever? Like Sean is never going to worry about money ever again for the rest of his life because this job is going to make as much money as he wants here, and it's going to land him into his dream job in the future. So his dream job might be back, but we'll see. That's my job. My job is to keep him here as long as possible. Nice job, Sean. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you.
All right, so tie them into goals. Mrs. Jones, do you mind if I share some of my goals with who? With who? You. All right, I'm working with Cutco because I want you to jot down what are the reasons why you're working here. Now, if it's a financial reason, I know you guys are excited about making money, but if it's a financial reason, it's got to be about school. You can't be like, Shane's not going to be like, Miss Jones, I want to make bank. Like, you can't say that. You just have to, if it's about money, you have to be, Mrs. Jones, I want to make money so I can help pay for school or I can pay for my books. For me, it was, I used, and my customers love this, I said, I want to make enough money so I never have to ask my parents for money while I'm away at school. And my customers, you should see, like, they just melted when I said that. It was the great, they're like, I wish my son was like that. I wish my daughter was like that. Because I didn't want to have to hit the mommy and daddy button while I was at college. So so I wanted to make a lot of money over the summer so I didn't have to ask them for money while I was away. So that's a good tie-in. If you're paying for school, you're paying for tuition, that's a good thing too. But specifically mention the skills that you want to gain, if it's time management or goal setting or confidence. I was super nervous when I started this job. I was really confident with my friends, but I was really uncomfortable talking to adults. Anybody in the same boat as me? Like you're really cool, like with your age, but you talk to adults, sometimes you clam up a little bit, you don't know what to say. Like I would say awkward things. So that was for me. I used to say, hey, Miss Jones, I'm really awkward around adults, so I'm really trying to do this job to build my confidence. And live in the manual the rest of the time. But they thought that was cute. All right, so jot down a couple things. It could be about your future too. I'm doing this job so I can become a better civil engineer. I can become a better business person. I can become a better lawyer, doctor, in the future. All right, I just started my fast start what? Contest. Everybody fast start what? Contest. And you're supposed to smile when you what? Contest. Good. I just started my fast start what? Contest. Doesn't that sound better? Life skills. I have 10 days to what? Oh, you guys don't know about your prizes yet. You guys want to know?
Yes.
It's better. Better. It's not quite there. It's better. If you're going to be, the President's Club. This is really cool. Through Cutco, I can earn a President's Club letter, which looks great on my what? Resume. Okay, this is a letter from the CEO of the company. It's actually a dual letter. It's from me and the CEO, Bruce Goodman, on the same letter. That's the greatest recommendation letter you'll ever get in your life. It basically says you're the greatest human being to ever walk the face of the earth. And so you get this letter. For you guys, as long as you sell $8,000 this summer, you get this President's Club letter, which pretty much guarantees you any job, any internship you want later on. This is really the most important thing that you'll gain in this job is this President's Club letter. And once you hit $8,000 this summer, you automatically get it, and it's a huge resume builder. It can get you into grad school, it can get you into an internship. It's money, so you want to earn that. Full-time students, if you're going to be full-time in the fall, I have a chance to win an All-American what? To help me with what? School. Perfect. Mrs. Who? Jones. She's the generic customer. Don't call your customer Mrs. Jones, okay? But that's just for role playing. Since I just started, I'm going to read from my what? Is that what?
Okay.
And you smile really big, and then what do you do the rest of the time? Look down. Okay. You only look up when you're holding sharp knives. Okay. Everything else look straight down. All right. Transition to demo. Now you don't read that. Don't say Mrs. Jones is going to transition into the demo now. So that's just your cue. Like I said on the phone, you don't have to what? But if you see something you like, you can what? Get it today. Can I have all 25 voices? But if you see something you like, you can get what? Not only would you be getting a great product, you'd be helping me out what? Cutco is what?
Awesome.
You can buy sets or what?
Pieces.
And we have tons of accessories and what?
Yes.
So do you know how everybody said follow the manual word for word? When we talk about building value, it's the little things that make the big difference. Now that line probably doesn't strike you as that important right now, but when you do your demo, what that does, when you say you can buy sets or pieces, we have tons of accessories and gifts, for a customer that might think, wow, this is a really high quality product, it's going to be super expensive, and you say you can buy pieces, then they're thinking, okay, good, it's not, I don't have to buy everything. It opens them up for the buying atmosphere. Also, if they have Cutco, or if they have knives that they really like already, then knowing when we have gifts and accessories, then they're thinking, oh, it's not just knives. So it's the little things that make the big difference, so you can't skip anything, because even though it might not seem that important to you right now, it makes a big difference in your presentation. The next line is even just as important. We also have interest-free monthly investment at what?
Options.
So you don't have to pay for it all at what?
Once.
So now a customer's thinking, oh, maybe I can buy a full set, right? Because then they can break up their payments. So it's all about the little seed planters in their head. We have an exciting new partnership with Utopian what?
Coffee.
Which is the Cutco what?
Coffee.
Okay, this is huge. Utopian is the greatest coffee ever. It's the freshest, most incredible coffee. I drink it every morning. It is so good. It's the Cutco of coffee. Tomorrow morning, you guys are going to get Utopian coffee. As long as you come in early to make your phone calls, breakfast is on me. So you got Einstein's Bagels and Utopian coffee tomorrow morning. So we're going to caffeinate you, so that way you're wired all day. So it's going to be a blast. But Utopian coffee is so good. All right, just so I know, do you cook because you have to, like to, or what? Love to. Great. You're going to love your what? Beautiful. You smile really what? And you flip the what? All right, introduction. Before we begin, we're going to need your favorite what? Favorite what? Serrated edge knife. Favorite? And a what? Why do we have to get those out right away? Yeah, compare. And that way they don't have to get up in the middle of the demo, so it's already on the table. We'll also need a shiny what? As well as some food to cut up in what? And this is where you play the poor starving college student card and you ask them to get out food from their fridge. Okay? And they make you a sandwich and life is good. All right, today I'll tell you why Cutco is the top-selling American-made brand in the what? US. Then we'll take a look at our product line and then review prices and specials at the what? This is Jay. I only work through what? Referrals. So I hope you like me and Cutco enough to tell some friends about who? Me. And then you smile really what? And look back what? Beautiful. That's just a seed planter, so that way they're thinking about people they can recommend you to. So at the end, when you ask for referrals, they've already thought of a bunch of people that they're already going to give you. Okay? Let me tell you a little bit about the who. Why do we talk about the company? Why is that important?
So they know the
Yep, legitimacy, company credibility. Have you ever bought a product from a company that you've never heard of before? Nope. Have you ever bought a product from a company that you know is well established and makes you feel more comfortable about that product? Right? When I buy Under Armour, or when I buy Apple products, when I buy things from companies that I know, I feel so much more comfortable because they're established and there's company credibility. Cutco is the #1 brand in the world. Most customers have heard of Cutco before. If they hadn't, it's just because none of their friends were nice enough to recommend them to a college student like you. Okay, so that's the only reason why they haven't heard of Cutco. Plus, we're not stores, we're only through referrals. So you're going to build the company credibility by telling them the facts. All right, since 1940 what? All Cutco knives have been made in the United what? States. In our factory in what? Olean. Everyone say Olean. Here's what's neat about your job. You support an entire community in upstate New York. We have 700 factory workers in Olean, New York, and for the town of Olean is only like 2,000 residents, a couple thousand residents. Half of the town works at the Cutco factory, and all of the surrounding towns work there too. So when you sell Cutco, you're supporting an entire community in upstate New York. Like, that's a big deal. Like, you should take a lot of pride in that. The entire region in upstate New York is supported by Cutco, the Cutco Knife Factory, and your sales. Like, that should be something you should feel good about. Like, your products are made here in the U.S. You guys like that? Do you think customers like American-made products?
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, we sell over $200 million worth of Cutco annually, and over 16 million what?
Customers.
By the way, it's 20 million now. You can cross off 16 and write 20. And you may have seen Cutco on TV on shows like Modern Marvels and Made in America. Everyone say America.
America.
It's one of the only products you can buy once, use every day, and never have to what?
Replace.
Like, what else do you have in your life that you buy once, use every single day, and never replace? Like, there's nothing else. Cutco is one of a dozen products in the world that is forever guaranteed. Like, you're selling the greatest product in the history of the universe. Doesn't that feel good? You should take a lot of pride in that. You're selling the best of the best. We're trusting college students to sell the greatest product in the world. That sounds crazy, doesn't it? Just to smile and read, and you'll do fine. All right. Cutco is the proud producer of many what? K-Bar. Anybody ever heard of K-Bar before? These are the military knives. We make all the knives in the U.S. military and the police force. All the police forces use K-Bar. You can actually sell some K-Bar knives too. We have some Cutco K-Bar exclusive knives. That's not our main focus, but you can sell some K-Bar knives. But we supply all the knives to the military. It's made in Ole, New York. You guys like that?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Cutco is also involved in many local and national what?
Charities.
I want you to write down Front Row Foundation. Front Row Foundation, where there's an organization that we work with called the Front Row Foundation. It's kind of like Make-A-Wish, but for front row tickets to sporting events and concerts of our recipient's choice. Now, we only raise money for local residents. In fact, our office raised enough money over the past couple months where we just put on an event a couple weeks ago. A girl named Abby from the Littleton area. She's been dealing with cancer for her whole life. She had her arm amputated recently, and we sent her and her 12 best friends and her family to Carrie Underwood, Front Row. She went backstage passes, met Carrie Underwood. She said it was like the greatest day of her life, and it was like the one day where she didn't think about her cancer, didn't think about her illness. So we do a lot of special things for people in the local area. I'll teach you more about that tomorrow, that you guys can get involved and raise money for the Front Row, but it's a really special organization. So it's called the Front Row Foundation. This past week we raised over $500 for the Front Row. The more we donate, the more events we can put on for local residents. To start off, I'd like to show you two products that demonstrate the quality of who?
Cutco.
Quality of Cutco. Hey, Dom, I need carrots, and I need all my food for peeling immediately. So I need carrots, cucumbers, I need something. So, if we don't have it, I need my staff to go out and get stuff that should have been done hours ago. All right, to start off, I'd like to show you two products that demonstrate the quality of who? Cutco. Of who?
Cutco.
And when you say Cutco, you say with enthusiasm. Quality of who?
Cutco.
Beautiful. All right, the first is the super what?
Shears.
Who's got a shiny penny for me? Somebody throw a shiny penny at me. I've got great hands. I won't miss. Throw a penny at me. I'm on camera. I better not screw this one up. All right, so we're showing our super shears first. Why do we show our shears first?
It's amazing.
Because they're incredible and they can cut through a penny. That's weak. Yeah, throw it. I need to show off. All right, so we're going to cut the penny first. Don't drop the mic in your demo, especially if it's a knife. Okay, it's dangerous. So we're going to cut the penny. We cut the penny first because it's impressive. Also, Mr. Jones will start paying attention to the, whoa, what just happened there? So we cut the penny first. There are different ways that you can cut the penny. You can cut a little sliver off of it, just like that. You can shoot at your customer. You can cut it in half. You can cut it into a corkscrew. You can cut a flower. You can do all sorts of things with the penny. We've got penny tricks we'll show you tomorrow. But the most important thing is you got to get really excited. So I'm going to cut the penny, and I'm going to say, holy moly, Mrs. Jones, did you see that? She's going to freak out. You've got to get excited, because if you get excited, they'll get excited too. So do you see where it says, everyone loves our what? Shears. Cut the penny. You're going to take them apart, take the shears apart, so like this. You should take them apart at 90 degrees. You put it back together, and then you hand it to who? Why do you want them holding it? Why do you want them feeling it the entire time? Hands-on experience. The more they feel it, the more they take what? What's the O word? You want them to feel like they already what? Own it. Own it. Good, Tyler. You want them to feel like they already own it. So the more they hold it, the more they feel like they own it. So go ahead and pass those around. Check those out. All right, these high-carbon stainless, the high-carbon stainless steel makes them good for cutting anything in the kitchen as well as indoor and outdoor what? They are dishwasher what?
Safe.
And they come apart for easy what?
Cleaning.
Everything Cutco makes is dishwasher safe, forever guaranteed, and rated #1. Is that pretty awesome? Our shears are the best in the world. Anybody use kitchen shears at home? Anybody use regular kitchen shears at home, like non-Cutco shears? What's wrong with them? Everything, right? They stink, right? Talia, what's wrong with them? They don't cut anything. Then they get stuck, they get jammed. They're the worst. These shears, they're the #1 shears on the planet. My mom's got 4 of these at home. She's got one in every room just because she doesn't like to have to go to the kitchen to get her shears whenever she needs. You know, like that hard plastic packaging from like any Amazon product you get, they're impossible. Yeah, so these shears go right through. They did a test on these shears in the Cutco factory. After 1 million cuts, they did 1 million cuts through this really tough, like sanding grain cardboard. But after 1 million cuts, the machine that they were using to test them broke. And so we don't even know how long these will last because the machine that was testing them broke after 1 million cuts, and they were still going strong, and nothing was wrong with them. This will cut a chicken. They will like separated chicken bones and joints of a chicken every week for 300 years. Isn't that crazy? That's a lot of chicken. It's a lot of chicken. Okay, so our shears are indestructible. You guys like those? So they're used inside, outside, like gardening. Oh, this whiteboard over here. So it was too tall, so we had to cut the bottom off. So this whiteboard, we used a saw. Actually, Dom used a saw, and he tried to cut it, but it wouldn't work. So we used the shears, and we just cut this whiteboard. So the shears worked better than a saw. It was awesome. They're the greatest shears in the world. All right, the next product. Do I have a carrot there? Did anyone bring carrots?
No.
I'm going to need something better to peel. What do I have?
That's like.
Okay, I need something. I need something. All right, so we've got so the next one is the veggie peeler. So we show the shears first, then we show the veggie peeler. Okay, you've got to try out this what? Peeler. You've got to try out this peeler. It peels in both what?
Directions.
Peels in both directions. Who uses, this is also, hey, Dom, or one of my assistant managers. Somebody works for me, please. All right, it peels in both what?
Directions.
All of our gadgets and accessories are guaranteed what?
Forever.
And dishwasher what?
Safe.
A lot of customers end up getting one of these 2 items for what?
Free.
I'll show you how when.
Later.
Okay, so let me show you the peeler. Somebody didn't clean my peeler. So make sure you clean all your knives and all your products before you go to your customer's house, because if it's junky, it's nasty. All right, so we'll make do, and we're gonna get some carrots later. I'm gonna show you how beautiful this is. You've got to peel a carrot or a cucumber or something in every presentation because it is the most impressive. What's wrong with most peelers? What happens to most peelers? They get jammed, right? And they like take out big chunks, don't they? Has anybody ever had to like peel potatoes or something for mom? Like, isn't that the worst thing? Also, peelers only go in one direction. You can only go forwards. This peeler goes back and forth in both directions. I want you to see how smooth this is, okay? This is going to be beautiful. It's tough on a small potato, but check this out. So when you do potatoes, and you usually only go in one direction, again, this is a small potato. I wish I had a bigger one, but going to make scallops here. It's not like the ideal thing to me to show you how to peel, but it's just so smooth. And here's the cool thing: is it doesn't take off big chunks. Okay, it's just really smooth. I'm just going to fly these over here. It just takes off small little pieces of the skin, and it doesn't take off big chunks because normally when you go with a peeler, I'll check this out. I'm just going to destroy this. It's so sharp. You can take like wood shavings off the side of a table with this thing. Again, this is not like the ideal way to use a peeler, but my staff did not get me a carrot to use. How about this? I want to show you one of the most impressive things you'll ever see in your life. Okay, this is. Do you guys know how hard it is to peel apples? So this goes in both directions. You can go towards yourself like this. I do this in every presentation. Don't go too far. Ladies, do not go too far. Gentlemen, David, Diana, Shelby, stay where you are. Okay, I do this in every presentation, and this was really impressive to my customers. So you can take an apple, you can take the peeler, you can go towards yourself like this, and this is a giant apple. This is not like a baby apple. This is like a legit apple. And you can just take this peeler, you can go towards yourself, all around a circle. Do you guys do this in your presentations? Of course. This is the coolest thing ever? Yes. Okay, look at this. Are you guys impressed? Yeah. Are you not entertained? Look at this. In one peel. And look, you gotta pass this around. Here, break it up in pieces, pass it around, share with your friends. And there's no apple. You see how thin that is? It's like snake skin. Here, you gotta pass this around. You can like limbo with this thing. And none of the apple comes off. It's just this. Is that the coolest thing you've ever seen? Would a normal peeler do that? Do you see how incredible this peeler is? It's the greatest thing on earth. It is the greatest. Okay, so what should you do in every presentation? Peel an apple or a carrot or cucumber. When you do carrots, it's just, it's just beautiful. It's just so smooth. Who's got the Cutco veggie peeler home? Anybody have the Cutco peeler home? You use it all the time? Mom uses it all the time, right?
Yeah.
It's the greatest. You have it at home? It's the coolest peeler, isn't it? Shelby, Diana, David, can I introduce you guys?
No.
You're on camera. That's a good thing. Everyone's going to realize that you're the jerk. All right, here, come over closer. Come closer. This is Shelby, Diana, and David. They're all our Dirty 30 reps. They're all at $10,000 in sales or more, and they all started in just the past couple weeks. Shelby, what's your favorite thing about the job?
That I can work around my other 4 jobs with it.
Yep.
I'd still make more money than everyone else.
Yep. And your first weekend, how many appointments did you do?
I did 16.
16. And how many of those bought?
7.
All over again, do it differently. What types of customers would you show?
Hex.
Yeah,
My best 5.
Best 5 married customers. So did you
Yeah.
show a bunch of like non-qualified?
I showed a bunch of people that picked up their phone and I was like, oh yeah, can I like book you right now instead of actually trying to get hold of those people?
Yeah. So if you were to go back, you would focus on like all married couples.
Absolutely.
Because if you focus on like single people or not like married couples, it's not going to turn out that well. So you want to focus on all married couples this weekend. But good lesson. And even though she made some mistakes her first weekend, she still did pretty well.
Yeah.
Sold a couple thousand and $4,000 in your first weekend. And that's with like not doing everything right. Still had success. And then now what do you have in sales?
I'm at about 10.5K.
$10,000 in sales. You just started what, 3 weeks ago? Less than 3?
4? 3 or 4.
Yeah, 3 or 4 weeks ago. Made $2,000 in income. And then can you give some advice on how to get the most out of the first weekend?
Don't be tired, just do it, because I know it's like, oh, I did 4 demos in a row, I'm tired, and you like don't want to do that one you have tomorrow at 8 a.m. Shut up and do it.
You don't have to pass around the apples. So like wake up early and do early
Book your
appointments.
schedule. Don't be lazy and try to do like 3 a day, because that's what's going to start you on this job.
Yes.
You need to do it.
And do you make up your own thing or just follow the script?
Follow the script.
Perfect.
Every time.
Do you have fun in this job?
I do.
What's the most fun thing?
I just hang out with fun people. Mrs. Jones is great.
Yeah, it's a cool job. Were you a little bit nervous when you first started?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, and it was pretty easy to do though?
It's so easy.
Does everyone tell their goodbye? What do they all say?
We're not going to buy anything.
And after your first weekend, at this point, now you sell on almost every demo
Oh, yeah.
you do. So you're at like 90% closings since that first weekend because you started showing what types of customers. Max. So we call Mac customers married between 30 and 60 and homeowners. So these are our target customers. So Shelby didn't show as many Macs in her first weekend, so she didn't have as many sales. Now that she shows only Mac customers, she sells every single time. So it was a good lesson. And she's still at $10,000 in sales, and she's made $2,000 in income. Perfect. Let's give Shelby one big clap. 1, 2, 3. What's your favorite thing to cut in your demos? Yes.
I like because I have them cut the a potato with the cheese knife, and they freak out every time.
Okay. Good.
It's the best thing ever.
Diana, this is Diana Dornford, and Diana started about 5-6 weeks ago. She graduated from Arapahoe High School, and Diana is, what do you have in sales now?
15,111.
15,000. She's number 9 in the office for so far for the start of the summer, but over 15 grand. She's made $3,500 in income. What's your favorite thing about the job?
I like cutting food, and the money doesn't hurt, but I like sitting down with really nice house moms, just talking about some cool products.
Yep. And Diana's already earned 2 comma paychecks. So we pay weekly, so getting $1,000 paycheck. She's earned 2 of them this summer so far. She's about to rack up her 3rd one, and she's going to go on a streak of comma checks. It's nice to sell 1,000. It's even nicer to make 1,000 in a week. And Diana's been on that streak. Your first weekend, how many appointments did you do?
I think I did 8.
8. Why would you only do 8?
So I scheduled 10, but then 2 of them rescheduled. Rescheduled on me, and then I also had school, and I started on a Friday night too.
Yeah, so she had school and she was finishing up with graduation, stuff like that. But you hit your first promotion, and your second promotion too, right?
Yeah.
And then you're faster. How much did you sell?
I think it was 5,000.
5,000. So it was around graduation. She still sold $5,000 and made $800 in income, and now she's at $15,000 in sales. She's gotten better and better every week. She hasn't had a week where she sold less than $3,000 since she started. So very, very consistent. She does a lot of appointments. Any advice on how to get the most out of their fast start?
Phone, call your manager, make as many appointments as you can, cut lots of food, and smile, read the script.
Pretty easy. Do you make up your own thing or just follow the script?
I really follow the script as much as I can, maybe like one joke, but that's when it's really, really risky. So yeah, just follow the script. It's
Awesome.
really easy.
What's your favorite thing to cut?
I love cutting pineapple, and then just pretty much everything. It's just fun to use the ergonomic handles and really show them how to do it.
And this is David Lapp, and David, perfect hair. Recognize the hair. David is his picture is going to be on our back wall in a few minutes because he sold over $10,000 in his first 10 days. So made $2,000 in income in 10 days. Anybody interested in that? David, can you tell how you did it?
Just work as much as you possibly can. Like don't slack off at all. And call as many people as possible.
So don't be nervous to call people. Were there some people that you were a little bit scared to call?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Who were some of the people you showed your first weekend?
Family and close friends.
And friends, parents too.
Oh yeah.
And your first weekend, how many appointments did you do?
12.
12. And how many of them bought?
Like
9 out of 12. So pretty good averages there. Did everyone tell you they're going to buy?
No.
What do they all say?
I'm not gonna buy it.
What do they do?
They come, but I'm not gonna buy it. They buy it.
Yeah. So 9 out of 12. So some people don't buy. Like not everybody buys. Most people do. But is it okay to have a no sale every once in a while? Sure. But every no sale leads to a what? Big sale. Exactly. What do you cut in your demos?
Pineapple, cucumbers, really good. Potatoes.
And how many hours of phone calls did you make on Thursday night after the first day of training? 3 hours. And you came in early for breakfast the next morning and booked up a ton more demos the next morning too. So any advice on how to get the most out of training?
Just listen very, very carefully, take a lot of notes, and make as many calls as you can.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. One clap for Dave. 1, 2, 3. This is Daniel Nays. He's the 4th brother to sell Cutco. So some of you are like, a lot of my friends work here. They sold all my customers. No excuses. He's the 4th in his family to sell Cutco, and he's done the best so far. The youngest are always the best. That's the youngest brother to sell Cutco.
That's true.
And Daniel, what's your favorite thing about the job?
The flexibility. Your friends start to hate you, not because you don't hang out with them, but because you can hang out with them and you make more money than them. So
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, because you work less than they do
Yeah.
and make more money, and they don't like that they make $9, $10 an hour at their jobs. You make a lot more than that. How much have you sold so far?
I hit 17,000 last night.
$17,000 in sales, so you made over $4,000 in income. You've been here less than a month. He sold over $10,000 in his first 10 days. How'd you do it?
Repetition on the phone and confidence. People buy knives because they don't need them, but because Cutco's awesome, and it's just how it goes.
Yeah, because a lot of your customers say, I don't really need knives. Like, you don't need anything. All you need is like, food and shelter and water and oxygen. Like, but we want good quality things. So, you get excited, you have confidence, people are going to buy. Your first weekend, how many appointments did you do?
It was like 12.
12. And what types of customers did you show?
Family, friends, family, and friends of mine.
Yeah, so a lot of your friends, moms, and your best 5, obviously.
Yeah.
How much did you sell your first weekend?
Probably $4 grand, $3 grand.
3-4 grand, and then for the rest of your fast start, how many demos do you do per day in your fast start on average?
It is at least 3, probably 4.
Yeah, so just book a lot of appointments. And any advice on how to get the most out of training?
Just listen. He's good at teaching it.
And how many hours of phone calls did you say you made on that Thursday night?
2 to 3.
Yeah, so book a lot of time. And did you guys have to? Didn't you have to cancel plans? Did you have friends that were like, hey, let's hang out? Did you have to push your friends back a little bit to make phone calls? Yeah. Was it worth it though?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's give these guys a round of applause. Thank you. Is it good to meet people on the team? Or is it helpful to get perspective from reps on our team? Okay. All right. So back to the peeler at the bottom. It says, "Let me show you where we get the idea for who." For who? How cool is that peeler? Is that sick? All right. Good. Page 3 is the disadvantages of common knives. Why do we talk about about junky knives? Exactly. Builds the value for Cutco. Excellent, Kaylin. Kaylin, right there. It builds the value for Cutco, and it also establishes a problem. Cutco is the solution for all of life's problems, but you have to have a problem first before you have a solution. So I want you to make your junkiest, nastiest, grossest face. Can everyone show me your ugly face? Give me your gross, nasty, your vomit face. Have you ever, has anybody ever, you know when you throw up a little bit? Have you ever thrown up just a little bit, and you swallow it? You guys know when that happens? It's And you're like, it's that tangy taste in your mouth. Or if you were like really thrown up, and like a couple hours later, you like shoot like a nugget out, like it's still like lingering, and you're like, ooh. Like okay. That face, good. Kyla, that face you're making, that's the face you have to make when you talk about junky knives, because you can't like prance around the kitchen and be like, oh, Mrs. Jones, they're unsanitary, unsafe, and blah, 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 blah. And they're just be like, okay. Right? You have to be grossed out. You have to be like the nastiest, grossest face you can ever make, like just vomit on the table. If vomit doesn't gross you out, think about like your best friend's grandma naked. Like, okay? That's the face you have to make when you talk about junky knives, all right? So everyone put your junk face on as we read. Mrs. Who?
Jones.
Most people have the world's most expensive set of what?
Knives.
The average knife set is designed to last how many years? 2 years. So most households waste a ton of money replacing cheap knives over and what?
Over.
Over and what?
Over.
You probably know this better than I do, but cheap knives have a lot of what?
Problems.
There are 2 types of what? Handles. The first is wooden handles. Wooden handles are attractive when they're what?
New.
But they are extremely what?
Unsanitary.
Gross face. Make your gross face. Say unsanitary with a gross face. It's got to sound a little nasally too, like unsanitary, gross. They absorb liquids, bacteria, grease, and germs and retain what?
Odors.
In several states, restaurants don't use wooden handles because of what?
Sanitation.
In fact, it's illegal. In restaurants, anybody ever worked in a restaurant before? In the back of restaurants in the kitchen, it is illegal to use wooden handle knives. You only have plastic back there, right? Because wooden handle knives are so disgusting and so nasty. I'm going to pass around these wooden handles so you can feel how gross they are. When you hold this handle, I want you to get like a good feel to it. Like get a little grip to it, and you're going to feel it's like a little bit grippy, a little bit gross, a little bit just, you know, it's like that tacky feeling to it. Wooden handle knives, they absorb moisture, odor, bacteria. It all grows from the inside out. Wood is a living, breathing thing, right? So inside the wooden handle knives, there are living things crawling inside the wooden handle knives. There are microscopic insects and bacteria in these wooden handle knives that you're holding right now. Every single wooden handle knife in the world has living things crawling around, the bacteria, mold, grease, germs. You see the little, like the rings around the rivet? You see the dark rings around those rivets there? That's the mold and bacteria seeping out of the knife. The entire inside of the knife looks like that. It's illegal to use in restaurants, in the kitchens, in the back because of sanitation. If it's illegal to use in a restaurant because it's so nasty, why would you ever want that in your kitchen? Right? Would you agree with that? It's absolutely disgusting. And then when they hold that handle, that all goes in their hands, and then they touch their food, they touch their kids. It's horrible, horrible. And if you make a really gross face and you get them grossed out with wooden handles, they'll never want to use a wooden handle knife ever again in their entire life. So you make the grossest face you can and tell them how nasty it is. Now, my customers, every time I talk about that, I would be so grossed out that on many occasions, they would take their knives, their wooden handle knives like this, and they would just drop it in the trash. They would be like, all right, what do you have? You know, it was, so you're establishing a problem, but wooden handles are gross. Who's got wooden handle knives at home? Who's immediately going home and throwing away all of your mom's knives? It's disgusting, disgusting. All right, so that's wooden handles. Plastic handles are usually cheaply what? So they melt, chip, crack, and what? They are slippery when wet, which is extremely dangerous while you're what? Okay, so plastic handles, plastic is just really cheap, okay? So it's going to crack, it's going to chip, they're going to fall apart. They're always hollow on the inside, so it's just that plastic shell. They're also really slippery. Anybody ever slip off a knife, like when your hand is wet or the handle's wet, you ever slip off it? Really dangerous. All accidents with kitchen knives, almost all of them, happen with plastic handle knives that are really dull, because then you're pushing really hard, this is a dull knife, you slip off, you cut yourself, really, really dangerous. Also, plastic handle knives are glued in. The blade is always glued into the handle, so it only goes back part way, and they fall apart and they loosen. It's really dangerous. So plastic handle knives, super dangerous. Now, do you see where it says concern face on there? You want to make the concern face because you're concerned for their safety. Now, how do you make a concern face? You're like, what does a concern face look like? Ask yourself that question out loud. What does a concern face look like? And that's a concern face. Okay? So just ask yourself that out loud, and you got the face. All right? So you're concerned for their safety because they're super dangerous. All right, those are the handles. Any questions with the handles? Easy enough? Okay. Common knives are constructed very what? Most knives have a partial what? With less what? Making them weak and what? Thank you, Dom. Dom is the greatest. It was like 10 minutes. He already went to the store, bought all the stuff that I didn't have. You're the greatest. I love this. doing a great job with it. All right, so can I show you the peeler on the carrot though?
Yeah.
Oh, this is so sick. Okay. I have to show you. This is. The no-look peel. Just. It is. And you smile every time you just cut go. Look at this. It was worth your trip to the grocery store just so I could do that.
Awesome.
Is that awesome or what? You guys like that? All right. So, perfect. All right. So you got. Oh, thank you. All right. So, so partial tang. So the tang is how far the steel goes back into the handle. If you can see it going all the way back, that's called a full tang. Full tang is good. Partial tang is when it only goes back part way. Partial tang is bad. The reason is because a partial tang, when the steel only goes back part way, it doesn't have very much strength or balance, so it cracks really easily, and the knife loosens, it comes apart. So the more steel, the better. If you can't see the tang, if you can't see it like this, no, this is like this. It's a partial tang because it only goes back part way. It's always glued or pressed in. So, for example, this knife, based on the rivets, how far would you expect this to go back? All the way. That's how far it goes back. This is a normal knife. This is every plastic handle knife is just like that. It's a little nub. Is that very strong, very balanced? No. So the tang is how far the steel goes back. Really important in a knife. All right. The rivets are made of what?
Brass.
Brass, which expands, contracts, and loosens, creating unsanitary what?
Gas.
Perfect. All the moisture and bacteria, it gets into the knife through those rivets. And that's why it's nasty and moldy. Like, that's just mold. That's not like decoration. That's mold. And that's what the whole inside of the knife looks like. Okay. There are two types of steel. There's carbon steel, which is what? But it what? Which is unattractive and? So you can't buy these anymore. You can't go to a store and buy a carbon steel knife, but Grandma has one of these in the bottom of her drawer. The reason is because it's super old. It's really strong. Carbon steel is a strong metal, but it's like a rusty muffler. Where does all that stuff go when you cut? So nobody uses these anymore, but carbon is a really tough metal, carbon steel. So you might see these on the bottom of the drawer every once in a while at Grandma's house, but otherwise you're not going to see them very much. Stainless steel, they look good. Stainless steel looks good, but it's a soft metal, so it won't stay what? Sharp. And it's difficult to what? Sharp. Okay, so stainless steel is the shiny stuff. So it's shiny, but shiny doesn't mean sharp. It's a misconception with knives. Shiny doesn't necessarily mean sharp. Stainless steel, does that sound very sturdy? Does it sound like a really strong metal? No, it's cheap. Stainless steel is really soft, so it's going to go dull very, very quickly. So most knives, they go dull right away. The first time you use it, they start going dull, and they end up being just garbage. So that's stainless steel, just cheap and soft. Have some of your knives gone dull over the years, Mrs. Who?
Jones.
And she's going to say what? Yes, all of them. There are two types of what?
Edges.
Two types of what?
Edges.
Serrated edges rip and tear your what?
Food.
And cannot be what?
Resharpened.
Okay, so serrated edges, it cuts with the point. So serrated edges, it's like the saw. Okay, serrated edges are like the saw. They rip, they shred, they tear. There's actually no cutting surface to a serrated edge knife. It's not sharp at all. It's just those really pointy tips. Now, what dulls a knife is the cutting board, right? Not the food. A tomato is not going to dull a knife. So when I cut with a serrated edge knife, every time it hits the cutting board, what happens to those points? They dull, they wear away. They cannot be resharpened. They have to be replaced. So as soon as those points wear away, it doesn't work anymore. But even while they are sharp, it's going to make a really nasty cut. It's like rips and shreds and tears. Straight edges, they make a smooth cut, but they have to be sharpened what? Constantly to remain what? The reason is because a straight edge, the entire edge hits the hard cutting board. So every time you cut, the entire knife goes dull. So they recommend that you sharpen your straight edge knives every time you use them. Can you picture mom sharpening her knives every time she uses them? Like, how weird would that be? Like, dinner time, come down. Like, that's really scary. So nobody does that. So most people end up using really dull knives. The more dull the knife is, the more pressure you put on, and the more likely you are to slip and what? Cut yourself. So it's really dangerous to use dull knives. All of our competitors, all the top brands out there, they're straight edges. There's no such thing as a high quality serrated edge knife. Serrated edge knives, it's like in the knife world, they're garbage. Nobody uses them. So all of the high quality knives out there are straight edges, and the problem is you have to sharpen them all the time. Okay. The hard cutting surface is what dulls a knife, not the food. Both these edges directly contact the cutting board, dulling them what? A dull knife is more dangerous than a sharp one because you have to push what? All right, complaints of low quality what? Knife. Low quality knives cost a lot of money over what?
Time.
The average junk knife costs how much? Average, how many knives in a set?
8.
So how much is that for a junky set? Replaced every 2 years for 40 years. How many replacements? So that's $1,600 on junky knives. Like this box here is probably a couple $1,000s worth of junky knives. Like nobody would use them because they're garbage, but they just build up over time. So most people don't realize that they're going to spend a lot of money. The average household spends $4,000 to $5,000 on kitchen knives over a lifetime. And people who have junky knives, they don't realize it because it just adds up, a little bit over time. But the average household spends $4 or $5 grand on knives over a lifetime. Now with high quality knives, people that buy like the expensive ones, they don't have to buy it as often, but they add up too. The problem with high quality knives is they have to be sharpened what? They have to be hand washed, they're not dishwasher what? And they have to be replaced every 7 to 10 what? Years. So those are the disadvantages of the low quality knives, but also the high quality knives bought in stores. So so get your junky face off and let's start talking about, let's make your happy Cutco face. And we're going to talk about Cutco. So, on page 4, there are 5 features that make Cutco the world's finest set of what?
Cutlery.
Finest set of what?
Cutlery.
Cutlery. Okay, we don't say knives, we say cutlery because Cutco is high class. So, let me show you why Cutco, the 5 features that make Cutco the world's finest set of what? Can I get everybody's voice? Can you say the word cutlery?
Cutlery.
Beautiful. All right. So, world's finest set of cutlery. All right, it says polish and present the petite carver. Polish and present the petite carver. So, in your set, you're going to have a bunch of knives in your set, and the medium-sized one is called the petite carver. So, it says polish and present. You're going to get a polishing cloth in your sample kit, and you just want to make sure that there's no fingerprints on there because that doesn't really look high class. So, you're just going to polish and then hand it over to the customer. Ladies, when you buy jewelry, what do they do before they give you the earrings or the ring? They polish it, they clean it, they polish it so it's shiny and blingy. Okay, so you're gonna polish and present the petite carver, hand it to the customer. You're gonna say, how does that feel in your what? In your what? Hand. And naturally, what are they gonna think of first? What are they gonna notice first? The grip, right? The handle. So naturally, we talk about the handle design first. The first feature is our universal wedge lock what? Handle, which fits any size what? Hand. So if it's left hands, right hands, big or small. Who's got a dad with like super meaty hands, like just gigantic, enormous hands? Okay, so it's really comfortable for giant hands. Who's got a mom with like tiny, tiny hands? Comfortable for mom too. So everybody loves the handle because it fits anybody. The universal wedge lock design locks your hand into place, increasing control and what?
Safety.
Can I get everybody's voice?
Safety.
While reducing what?
Fatigue.
This makes Cutco more what?
Expensive.
But it's worth it because it's comfortable and what?
Safe.
Okay, this is important. You guys hear the word expensive? Now you might be thinking, why do we say the word expensive? What we're doing is we're building what? What's the V word? Value. You want your customer to think that every knife costs $1,000. Like you want them to think that that one knife is a $1,000 knife because at the end, the price doesn't change, right, for the set. So when you tell them the price of the set, if the value is up here, if they're expecting it to be this high in price, and you tell them this price, they're going to say, whoa, that's really cheap, right? And that's the reaction you want. So you want to build as much value as possible. So this makes Cutco really expensive, but it's worth it because it's comfortable and safe. Everyone take your thumb and forefinger, these 2 fingers, lock them into place really tight. Okay, 65% of the strength in your hand is between these 2 fingers. So when you hold a Cutco knife, you grip it like this with these 2 fingers. The rest of your hand holds the knife, so 100% of your strength goes into the cut. No wasted energy, no hand fatigue, no cramps. Grandma, as soon as Grandma holds this, she's going to say, I can't believe I've been using other knives for the past 60 years. She's going to freak out when she holds this. As soon as they hold the knife, they're already sold. Like they know they're buying at least something once they hold the handle, okay? Because it's that comfortable. You guys know that's good. The car, Porsche, for the Porsche car, the seats for Porsche were designed by the same guy who designed the Cutco handle. And In fact, the Cutco handle design has been displayed at the Museum of Modern Arts in New York City and Paris, 12 other museums around the world. Cutco has won awards for modern art and modern design. So when you sell Cutco, you're selling modern art. Isn't that cool? Like, you're a fine arts dealer. Not just a knife salesman, you're a fine arts dealer. Like, that's a cool thing to think about. All right, so that's the handle design. You guys like that? All right, next, number 2, the second feature. Now, if they put the knife down, like if they put the knife down on the table, you're going to put it back in their hand. So nonchalantly, if they put the knife down, you're going to say, the second feature is, the third feature is, because you want them holding it the entire time. The more they feel it, the more they take ownership. So put it back in their hand. All right, the second feature is our thermoresin handle what? Which will never chip, crack, or what?
Break.
It's an expensive, what's that word? Expensive material to use, but it's worth it because it's dishwasher safe and what?
Sanitary.
Perfect. That thermoresin is similar to the material used in bowling balls and football helmets. Also the insides of dishwashers, like that hard plastic material, very, very similar. Does the dishwasher ever melt itself?
No.
Is Cutco ever going to melt in the dishwasher? No. So Cutco is the only knife in the world that's guaranteed to be dishwasher safe. You can put other knives in the dishwasher, but Cutco is the only one that is part of the guarantee. Is that pretty awesome? Yeah. So also the thermoresin, completely sanitary because it's non-porous. There are no holes, no gaps, and it's completely filled in. And the inside is completely solid, so it's impossible to get any germs, bacteria, grease, moisture, odor, anything like that. So it's completely solid for the thermoresin.
When we're like pitching the knives, can you like say stuff like that?
Yeah, you want to be careful to not add in too much. Like if there's like a 1 or 2 lines here and there, feel free. As long as you follow the script word for word, you can add a little bit, but you want to be conscious of not adding too much because it'll make your demo run a little bit longer and short, sweet, to the point. So whatever's in here is perfect. But yeah, if there's something you think is super cool, you're more than welcome to add that in. So yeah, but just try not to add too much to your demo. All right. So the third feature is our full tang what? Full tang what?
Construction.
Using the extra steel is more what?
Expensive.
But it's worth it because it creates strength and what?
Balance.
Balance. The 3 nickel silver what?
Rivets.
Rivets are flush with the handle, making it strong and
Sanitary.
okay. So all the knives are perfectly balanced. Every knife has a different balancing point. So with the Petite Carver, there's a certain point. I'll show you where it is on the Petite Carver. But like this butcher knife, right in the middle there is where it's perfectly balanced. That's important when you're cutting. Now I didn't know that when I was 18, nor did I care. But when I said to my customers, they were like, "Oh, that's really cool." And I was like, "I know, because it says it in my manual." So it perfectly balanced, which is very, very important. Now, the nickel silver rivets, this is one of the strongest materials in the world. It's never going to expand or contract. This is pressed in there with like 20 tons of pressure to push these rivets in there. It will never pop out. You can try as hard as you can, but it's literally impossible to get those rivets out of there. It'll never fall apart. We have knives from like the 1940s and 50s that look just like the knives you see today as far as quality and durability. Can I read you a cool story? Can I read you guys a cool testimonial, a cool story? I was going to do it anyway, but I appreciate the approval. So there's on the Cutco website, there are thousands of testimonials from Cutco owners talking about how much they love their knives. I thought this one was super cool, so I wanted to read it to you. It says, many years ago when my brother was in college, he sold Cutco cutlery to supplement his income. He had purchased a sample kit of knives to display to his prospective customers, which he kept in the trunk of his car. Unfortunately, his car was stolen with the knives in the trunk. Years passed with no progress in the investigation of the car theft, and my brother had given up all hope of recovery. He had graduated college, served a stint in the Army, got married, and begun a career by that time. In fact, he had really forgotten all about the incident when, much to his surprise, he was notified by the police that his stolen car had been recovered from the bottom of the Tennessee River, where it had been dumped by the car thieves many years earlier. Of course, the car itself was hopelessly waterlogged, but my brother asked the police to look at the trunk for his Cutco knives. Believe it or not, his knives were still in the trunk and were in perfect condition. To this day, my brother and his family are still using those same Cutco knives more than 25 years later. Isn't that crazy? Cutco is indestructible. And if anything does happen to it, what do? They send it back. They replace it for free. It's the greatest. It's forever guaranteed. Isn't that cool? Cutco's awesome. You'll never have to apologize for Cutco because it always works. Always works. All right, the fourth feature is our very high grade what?
Steel.
Steel. very high grade steel, and Michael, this is for you. This is your civil engineering. The grade of steel is 440A. That means nothing to anybody in here except Michael. Okay, if you have a customer that's a civil engineer or in construction and uses metal all the time, they might be interested in that. But don't try to impress your customer. Don't be like Mrs. Jones, it's 440A. Like, she doesn't care. All Mrs. Jones cares about is that it looks good on her counter and her friends like it. Like, that's all she cares about. But the grade of steel, that's surgical steel. It's the same stuff using katana swords. Like, it's the best steel available for kitchen knives. No other company uses a higher grade steel, so that's why we use it. It's always going to look shiny, always going to look nice and new. This steel is expensive to what? Expensive to what? Use. But it's worth it because it has the best of both what? Worlds. It has high carbon for edge retention, and it's stainless for what? Beauty. Making it sanitary and what? Sharp. So it's got the carbon, the high carbon for the strength, the stain resistance for the beauty, so it's going to stay sharp longer than any other knife, and it's always going to look good. By the way, these knives here, this is my original kit from when I was a rep. Like, we don't change the knives out to like impress you and how sharp they are, because it's Cutco, they don't go dull. So these are original knives. These are not like brand new knives, and they still look absolutely stunning after years and years. So the steel, highest grade steel, I'll read you another one. This is fun. This is from Dr. Lawrence Thompson. The entire pathology staff uses your knife in the autopsy procedure for slicing organ sections for examination. The knife is most effective in the slicing of difficult to section lung tissue. The double D edge is most effective on the very spongy lungs. That's gross. But there are doctors, and there's another one from a veterinarian here, that they use Cutco more than over their medical instruments, because Cutco is sharper and the steel is better than some of their medical instruments. Isn't that crazy? That's sick. Don't tell your customers that. All right, the fifth feature is our most what? It's our exclusive Stay Sharp Double D what? Edge. Let's compare the different types of edges what? Work. Okay, so we're going to do a cutting test. Now, you're going to get a full bag of rope and leather in your sample kit. Don't worry, you don't have to supply your own. That would be kind of difficult. So we're going to do a rope cutting test. It says we cut rope because it's tough like vegetables and meats, but will not hurt your knife's what? And remember, Cutco is sharp, so be what? Everybody, be what? Careful. Okay, we say this to basically from Mr. Jones, because Mr. Jones is going to be like, oh, it doesn't look sharp, and he's going to go like that, and he's going to cut himself. So make sure that your customers do not run their finger along the blade. So we're going to do a cutting test. Now, their knives are already on the counter. Their knives are already on the counter because you had them get them out in the beginning. So we're going to use a straight edge knife. This is our #1 competitor, and we're going to use a straight edge knife. Even though it's missing half the handle, we're going to use it because it's really, really pointy and pretty brand new. We only use this for our demonstrations in training, but it's pretty brand new. It's going to rip and tear, and it's going to shred. Now, it says, hold the rope with both hands. You're going to start with the back of the blade, pull one long stroke, and then go back and forth. So, Sam, you're going to be my volunteer. Cool? All right, so slide your chair up for me. And as a rep, you're going to hold the rope, but get your fingers out of the way. Don't be like, all right, try to cut it, Mrs. Jones. Okay, get it out of the way. Use a long piece of rope, so don't have to conserve rope. We've got plenty. So get your fingers out of the way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the rope, and you're going to start with the knife. You're going to take the serrated edge knife first. So you're going to start all the way in the back of the blade. Now this knife is pretty brand new, so it's going to go through in a couple strokes, but what you're looking for is the sound that it's making. So don't worry about how long it takes to get through. What you're looking for is the ripping and shredding and tearing of that serrated edge. So go ahead and pull back and forth. You hear that ripping and shredding, it's like kind of dragging the cutting board, and it's ripping up the rope, so it doesn't make a clean cut. It went through in like 5 or 6 strokes, so not too bad, but not a clean cut at all. It gets rope all over the cutting board. We're going to do the same thing with the straight edge knife. So start all the way in the back of the blade. And this one's going to take a lot more pressure. That's pretty hard. It's going to take a lot more pressure because the straight edge goes dull really quickly. And Sam is like super buff. So it's like, and he did it in like 10 strokes. It would take the average Mrs. Jones like a million. But it's a smooth cut, but it takes a long time to go through because it goes dull so quickly. By the way, this knife is our #1 competitor, #1 sold in stores. Was that very impressive? No. Now, we don't sharpen it every day, but does Mrs. Jones sharpen it every day? No. So it's going to cut just like that for Mrs. Jones. Then we're going to use, who's got my petite carver? Who's got can you pass it up just slowly and carefully? Perfect. All right, if you can pass that to Sam, and then Sam, we're going to use the Cutco knife, and with the same pressure that you put on, so pretty hard, but you're going to start all the way in the back of the blade, you're going to press straight down and pull right through, and he's not putting any pressure. Can you look a little bit interested? We're on camera. All right, so he's like, I'm trying to botch this entire filming process. All right, start on the back, and you're going to press down hard and pour it through, and it goes through in half a stroke. Now, and you're going to say, bam, Mrs. Who? Bam, Mrs. Jones, get really excited. Now, even if Mrs. Jones doesn't put a lot of pressure, that was still impressive. Like, he was like, not even trying. Like, he wasn't even looking, and it got through in like 3 or 4 strokes, and he wasn't even trying. But when he put a little bit of pressure on, it went through in half a stroke. What kind of a cut did that make? Perfectly clean cut. It's like, and I freak out when I say, so you gotta pass this around. It's like glistening, it's shiny. You can see your reflection. Like, isn't that crazy? It's a shiny cut. Like, how do you, like, you can, it's like a mirror after you cut, it's a piece of rope. How does it become shiny? It's because Cutco is so sharp. So I freak out when I cut the rope, and I high five the customer, you can fist pump. Don't chest bump, because that's kind of weird. But you can fist pump, Grandma. But get really excited. Now, it says, unlike a serrated edge, Cutco's double D edge has 3 straight edges that smoothly cut forward, backwards, and straight what? And straight what?
Down.
Can I get a little bit more energy from you guys?
Down.
Thank you. Straight down. All right, so the way the double D edge works, it's not like a serrated edge. So the double D edge, it's got 3 straight edges protected by the points. So between each 2 points, there's 3 razor edges, 1 on each side and 1 from the top. Now, this edge right here, so the points don't actually do the cutting. Now, they're sharp, they're pointy, but that's not what does the cutting. What does the cutting is the razor edges in between. This edge right here is the sharpest edge in the world. This sharpest straight edge. So this straight edge, sharpest in the world. This straight edge right here, sharpest edge in the universe. This straight edge right here, sharpest edge ever known to mankind. Those 3 edges combined equals the double D edge. It's dorky, but it's true. Okay, but those 3 edges, they're 3 straight edges that are recessed. Everyone say the word recessed? Recessed. Because that means that these straight edges never hit the what? The hard cutting board, exactly. So these points do. Eventually, are those points going to wear away? For sure. These points are going to wear away, but years and years of abuse will wear away the points. But as it's wearing away, what's going to stay razor sharp? The edges in between. Exactly. So that's why those of you who have Cutco for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, it's still just as sharp as it was when you first got it, because those edges have never hit the hard surface. All the edges touch is the food that you're cutting. Does that make sense? Okay. So the points protect the recessed what? Bullet number 2. The points protect the recessed what? Edges. From doling on the cutting board, keeping each knife sharp for up to
10 years.
And they can still be what?
Resharpened.
So here's what's cool. When the customer sends it back, they put it back through the manufacturing process. They reform those points and sharpen up those edges. That way it's a brand new knife, so they can still be resharpened. While most of our knives have the double D edge for cutting back and forth, some Cutco knives have straight edges for chopping, dicing, and precision what? Cutting. So we have a couple knives that are straight edges. That's like a chef knife and a paring knife. Anything that goes back and forth with a sawing motion is the double D edge. Anything with a straight edge is for a precision cut. This unique edge uses expensive technology, but is well what?
Worth it.
Well worth it. Michael, can I introduce you? This is Michael Athens. Michael graduated from Heritage High School. He is one of our Cutco sales professionals. So we have a team in our office of about a dozen Cutco sales professionals that work full-time, and they just sell a lot of knives and make a lot of money. So Michael started when he was 18 right out of high school, paid his way through Heritage High School. His first summer sold $30,000. He means college. Paid his way through CU. Sorry, started after Heritage High School. Paid his way through CU Boulder. He sold $30,000 his first summer. That was in 10 weeks. So 10 weeks, $30,000 in sales, made $9,000 in income in 10 weeks. That doesn't stink for a summer job. Went away to school. He got involved with our Cutco Sales Professional Program. While he was in college, he won 4 All-American scholarships. His junior and senior year, he averaged $30,000 in sales per semester while he was in school, and that was just working on the weekends. He was at 50% of the time, so he was making $15,000 in income per semester just working every couple of weekends. So not even every weekend, but every couple of weekends around his CU schedule. He bought his first house before he graduated from college. That's pretty pretty awesome opportunity there. He lives a couple blocks down in Centennial, and homeowner before graduating, all with his Cutco money. And he decided to stay full time with Cutco afterwards. Last year he sold, how much did he sell last year?
210,000.
210,000. So you cut that in half. Not bad, making 6 figures selling knives, and knife job really worked out well for him. What's your favorite thing about Cutco?
It's the best. I mean, I love cooking, so having something that's going to stay sharp and it's American made.
Easy to sell Cutco?
So easy.
Your first weekend, how many appointments did you do?
I did 9.
9. And he started on a Saturday, you guys started on Friday, so you have an extra day. So he had one less day, but he still did 9. If you could go back and do your fast start all over again, what would you do differently?
I would have done 5 a day, all 10 days.
And how many did you do in your fast start? About how many?
Probably half that.
Yeah, so 25, 30 appointments. And how much did you sell in your fast start?
6,000.
So you made $1,000 in his fast start. That's not bad at all. And who did you show? Who you showed?
Kind of just everyone. Family and all my friends' parents, and then I was on the tennis team, so I went through the roster and saw their parents.
Perfect. And did everyone tell you they're going to buy?
They all said they wouldn't, except for Grandma.
And what did they end up doing?
They all bought.
Yeah, Grandma's she's obligated, of course. Any advice on how to get the most out of their first weekend?
Really just, pay attention, obviously, to what Drew's saying. There's a reason people are in here filming him. He's the best. But put in your effort on the phone, set up as many appointments as you can, because the work you put in now could literally set you up for something that you could do for the rest of your life.
And what do you love about being a Cutco sales professional?
It's the best. I get to work when I want, how I want. I get to travel all the time, do a lot of fun stuff, and it's, Drew manages, but you can't tell me really what to do. I get to do what I want.
Where have you traveled for free on the company?
I've been to Maui, Dominican Republic, Panama, Aruba, the Caribbean, Bahamas, and Mexico like 5 times.
Not a bad deal, right? And that knife job really worked out well for him. And he started in the same position you were just 6 years ago. So, perfect. What's your biggest sales week you've ever had?
18,000.
What percentage were you at the time?
50%.
So that doesn't stink at all. Yeah. So obviously that's unrealistic for you right now in your first couple of weeks, but definitely something you can look forward to if you really take advantage of your fast start. So give Michael a round of applause. Thank you, Michael. Michael, how much did you sell yesterday?
Yesterday? I didn't do it.
Oh, you didn't took the day off yesterday. Okay. What do you have for this week then?
4K.
He's at $4,000. So he's already made $2,000. It's not even the weekend yet. He's already made $2,000 in income. Your life stinks. All right. So